You're off the family, off from our table, off from our life, off forever. My mother screamed after I reported my sister for claiming $5,200 from my account. It was my bonus. Mom smirked. We needed it for her engagement party. I said nothing. Froze every account, canceled their rent. Their lights went out mid-speech. I woke up to 147 missed calls. You're off the family, off from our table, off from our life, OFF forever. That scream still echoes in my head. Her voice, trembling with rage, was the last thing I expected to hear from my mother. And yet there it was, a sentence sharper than any slap. It happened right after I told them what Emma had done. She stole $5,200 from my account, I said, calmly, holding up the printout from my bank. It was my annual bonus. Gone. Transferred to her Venmo the day after it landed. And my mother, didn't even deny it. She smirked. We needed it, she said. For her engagement party. You weren't going to use it anyway. I remember standing there, stunned. Not because I expected an apology, that ship had sunk years ago, but because of how casual she was. As if my money was just another family resource, like toilet paper or old Christmas decorations. As if I were the bank. The fool. The designated sponsor of their chaos. I didn't shout. I didn't cry. I didn't even flinch. I walked out of the room, pulled out my phone, and did what I should have done years ago. Froze every account that had my name on it. Changed passwords. Canceled their rent autopay. Closed the emergency card Mom still used for groceries. Their electricity bill? Gone. The internet? Offline in 30 minutes. They didn't realize it yet. Not until that night, during Emma's little celebration, when the string lights cut out mid-toast. When the speakers went silent. When the room full of plastic champagne flutes and forced toast fell into stunned darkness. I turned off my phone and slept better than I had in months. Until I woke up the next morning and saw it. 147 missed calls. Mom. Dad. Emma. My aunt. Even my old high school cousin I hadn't talked to in 6 years. The same people who told me I was overreacting. The same ones who said I should be proud to support my successful little sister. They were now begging, screaming, demanding, and in the middle of it all, one voicemail from my mother. You're off the family, off from our table, off from our life, OFF forever. Click. That was the moment I knew. It wasn't about misunderstanding. It wasn't about Emma's party. It was about control. I had broken the unspoken rule, the one where I give, they take, and no one asks questions. But not anymore. Because if they wanted war, I was ready. And this time, I wasn't coming to the table. I was flipping it. They always said I was the strong one. That's how they framed it. Not generous. Not responsible. Just strong. The one who didn't break. The one who sent money when things got tight. The one who covered Emma's tuition until she figured things out. I used to believe it was love. That being needed meant I was part of the family. Turns out, I was just useful. For years, I paid the rent on that house. Quietly, automatically. It started after Dad lost his job, then it became a habit. Then it became an expectation. No thank yous. Just occasional texts like, hey, Wi-Fi's acting up again. We're out of gas money this week. Emma's card got declined. Can you help? I always helped. And when I said no, even just once, I'd get a passive-aggressive response from Mom. I just hope you never need help yourself one day. Emma was the queen of the guilt trip. She'd text me screenshots of her bank account with $11.52 in it, followed by crying emojis. She once accidentally sent me a Venmo request for $1,800 with the title, "Please help me not be homeless, LOL." And every time I sent something, anything, she'd post some filtered selfie from a spa or wine bar. Caption: grateful to be surrounded by love, #family support, #blessed. Not once did she mention me. I wasn't family. I was funding it. Then came the engagement. She'd been dating this guy, Colin, for 3 months. A walking beige flag. Said maybe 5 sentences to me total. The kind of man who wore sunglasses inside and laughed at his own texts. She called me screaming one Thursday morning, said he proposed, sent a blurry photo of the ring. I replied with a cautious congrats, and she immediately texted back. By the way, we're doing a backyard ceremony. I figured you'd cover the bar and lighting? Like $3,000 max. That's not bad, right? No. Would you be willing to? No. Is this okay? Just assumed. Like always. I didn't reply. That weekend, I got tagged in a post. It was a family photo. The caption read, "We did it." She said yes, and we're so lucky to have the people who really show up. Some give advice, others give love. Only real ones give both. In the comments, someone asked, "Is her brother coming to the party?" Mom replied with a smiley. "He's been distant lately, but we understand. Not everyone can handle milestones." I stared at that sentence for a full minute. Not everyone can handle milestones. No mention of the $800 I'd sent the week before. No recognition of the 6 years of car payments. No respect. Just a public diagnosis, emotionally absent. Ungrateful. Distant. But it got worse. I logged into my banking app a few days after the party. I wasn't even checking for fraud. I was looking for a recurring bill. That's when I saw it. A transfer. $5,200. Gone. Straight to a name I recognized immediately. Emma. At first, I thought maybe it was a mistake. Maybe I'd sent it weeks ago and forgotten. I clicked into the details. Nope. It was done at 2:17 a.m. on a Wednesday. My login. My bank. My device. But not me. I checked my texts. Nothing. I checked my apps. Then I checked my email. A new device login request from 2 nights prior. Approved from my mom's house Wi-Fi. They didn't even try to hide it. I drove over the next evening. I didn't call first. I didn't knock when I got there. Emma was in the living room, half drunk, laughing at some reality show. Mom was in the kitchen with wine. Dad wasn't home, likely at the bar down the street. I walked in and held up the printout from my bank. Didn't say a word. Just stood there. Emma barely looked at it. "Oh, yeah," she said. "I needed it for the party." Like she was talking about borrowing a hair straightener. I didn't say you could touch my account. Mom looked over her wine glass. "We thought you'd be okay with it. You always help." I laughed. Laughed so hard it scared me a little. "You thought I'd be okay with theft?" Emma scoffed. "It wasn't theft. It was for family. For something important. We weren't going to ask strangers to fund my engagement." That's when Mom chimed in. "She's your sister. We didn't want to stress you out. You're doing well. And it's not like it's the first time." That was true. It wasn't. And that's what broke me. I walked out without another word. I didn't sleep that night. Instead, I opened every shared account, froze every credit line they could touch, called the landlord and ended the rent autopay, changed the Wi-Fi password. I paid for it anyway. The next morning, Emma called 14 times in a row. I declined everyone. Then she texted, "You're being a real fool about this. It was our money. And now Mom's crying. Hope you're happy." I didn't respond. But later that night, a friend messaged me, "Dude, check Facebook." There it was. A post from my mother. Photo of Emma with a caption, "Through thick and thin, we stand by our own, even when others betray us. Family is chosen." Dozens of comments. Most from relatives. One said, "I always knew something was off about him." Another, "Blood doesn't mean loyalty." Emma liked every single one. They wanted a villain. So I gave them one. Emma's engagement party was supposed to be this grand event. White fairy lights, rented garden heaters, catered tacos, and a playlist she made herself called "Love You Like a Sister." Cute. Poetic. She had no idea it was going to end in silence. I didn't RSVP. I wasn't even invited. But I showed up anyway. Not to eat. Not to reconcile. I came to show them exactly what they made me become. I walked into the backyard like I belonged there, because I did. I helped pay for that house. For the deck under their feet. For the bathroom plumbing that didn't leak anymore. I wasn't going to sneak in through the side gate. I walked through the front like the ghost they all tried to bury. Mom saw me first. Her eyes widened, wine glass halfway to her lips. Emma froze mid-laugh. Dad muttered, "What is he doing here?" I didn't answer. I walked straight to the Bluetooth speaker, disconnected her phone, and plugged in mine. And hit play. First, audio. Emma's voice, clipped, smug, cruel, from a saved voicemail. "He'll never notice. I've done it before. And if he does, I'll cry." That always works on Mom. Gasps. Heads turning. Then, another file. A screen recording. Bank app open. $5,200 transfer. Timestamped. My name. Her name. Then, the security email, login from their house Wi-Fi. Then, Emma's text to Mom. "If he flips, just tell him you thought it was for groceries." I paused the audio. Everyone stared. Mom stepped forward. "Put that away. This is not the place." "No," I said, louder. "This is exactly the place. You wanted a party, right? Let's have one." Then I turned to the crowd. "Let me ask you something. How many of you believe the posts? The stories about me going distant, being unstable, being selfish?" A few people looked away. A couple nodded, hesitantly. Then I pulled out the flash drive from my jacket pocket and held it up. "Everything's on here. Audio, texts, screenshots, evidence that I wasn't the villain, just the vault, the disposable wallet. And when I said no, they burned me alive in front of all of you. Emma's fiancé, Colin, looked like someone had just hit him with a brick. You said he was violent, he said, staring at her. You told me he screamed at you. You said he made threats. Emma's face turned pale. She stammered. I was scared. I thought. No, Colin cut in. You lied. I asked you why your brother didn't show up for Christmas, and you said it was because he got arrested for threatening you. I believed you. I defended you. His voice cracked. Then he looked at me. I'm sorry, man. I had no idea. I nodded. I know. Then I pulled out the last card. A hard drive. Remember this? I said, waving it gently. It's from your old laptop, Emma. The one you said I stole years ago? Turns out you never wiped the backups. And guess what? Your little montage, that audio you made of me yelling? I found the source clips. I plugged the drive into the laptop I brought in my backpack. Opened a folder titled Family Performance, Take 1. Inside, raw audio, the originals. My voice, yes, but not how they spliced it. And then, the edited version. Everyone heard the manipulation, the cuts, the choppy transitions, the truth. And Lisa backed away from Emma like she was contagious. Mom looked like she was going to faint. She tried to interrupt, but someone else beat her to it. Colin, I'm done, he said. This was supposed to be our night, our future, and you built it on lies. You used your brother, framed him, stole from him, and I'm not marrying into that. He walked out. Emma tried to follow. No, please, wait, Colin, wait. But he didn't even look back. Mom turned to me. Why would you do this? I stared at her. Because you taught me to never cause a scene, so I waited until I had enough to cause the last one. Dad finally spoke. You ruined everything. For what? A few dollars. No, I said. For my life back. He stepped toward me, finger raised. You think you're better than us now? I didn't flinch. I think I'm done with you. And with that, I turned. Left the flash drive on the cake table. Got in my car. Drove away. Didn't look back. Not when Mom screamed my name. Not when Emma collapsed into a plastic chair crying. Not when Dad called me a traitor in front of his friends. They wanted a villain. Now they had one. And he had receipts. I didn't go home that night. Not to my apartment. Not to the sanctuary I'd built to escape their chaos. I drove north, past the city's edge, past suburbs where houses competed for grandeur. I kept driving until the road narrowed and stars burned cold above empty fields. My phone stayed off. The radio stayed silent. Just me, the engine's hum, and the weight of what I'd done settling into my bones. I wasn't running. I wasn't hiding. I was done pretending I owed them a piece of me. For the first time in years, I could breathe, like I'd clawed my way out of a grave they'd been piling dirt on since I was old enough to write a check. I stopped at a gas station around 3 a.m., somewhere off a two-lane highway. Fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, and the clerk barely glanced up from his phone as I paid for coffee and gum. I sat in my car, watching steam rise from the cup, letting my mind drift. Not to the party, not to Emma's lies or Mom's betrayal, but to what came next. There had to be a next. I wouldn't let their poison define me. By dawn, I decided. No more half measures, no more, maybe they'll change. I wasn't just cutting them off financially, I was cutting them out entirely. They'd show me who they were, and I was done pretending they could be anything else. I turned my phone on just long enough to text my landlord, moving out. End of the month. Then I blocked every number that had called that night. Mom, Dad, Emma, Aunt Lisa, even a cousin I hadn't seen in 6 years. All gone. The next week was a blur of logistics. I found a new place 2 hours away, a small house on the edge of a quiet town where no one knew my name. I sold half my furniture, donated the rest, and packed what was left into a rental truck. I didn't tell anyone where I was going. Not coworkers, not friends, not even the neighbor who asked why I was loading boxes at dawn. I wanted a clean break, a life free from their expectations. The house wasn't much, peeling paint, creaky floors, a backyard more weeds than grass. But it was mine. No shared accounts, no family Wi-Fi, no emergencies I had to fix. I spent the first night on a mattress on the floor, staring at the ceiling, soaking in the silence. It was the kind of quiet that felt like a gift. I started rebuilding, not just my life, but myself. I landed a remote job that paid enough to cover bills and let me save. I stopped checking my bank account daily, braced for another unauthorized transfer. I started running mornings, not because I loved it, but because it proved I could move forward. I even took up woodworking. Shaping raw wood into something useful felt like control, like creating something that didn't owe anyone anything. Months passed. I didn't hear from them, and I didn't reach out. Their names surfaced sometimes. Emma's engagement photos lingered on mutual friends' feeds, minus Colin. Mom posted vague quotes about loyalty and forgiveness, but I didn't bite. I'd unfollowed, unfriended, and untangled myself from their digital orbit. They didn't exist to me anymore. But they weren't done with me. It started with a letter, handwritten, from Dad, forwarded from my old address. I nearly tossed it unopened, but curiosity won. I sat at my kitchen table, the one I'd built from reclaimed oak, and sliced the envelope with a butter knife. "We need to talk," it began. "What you did was cruel. You hurt your mother. You humiliated Emma. You tore this family apart over money. I know you're angry, but you're not the only one suffering. Emma's a mess. Colin won't talk to her. The house is falling apart without your help. I'm not asking for money. I'm asking you to be his son again." I laughed, quiet, tired. He wasn't asking for money. He was asking for control. For me to return to the role they'd carved out. The fixer, the wallet, the one who didn't say no. I didn't reply. I burned the letter in the backyard, watching flames curl around his handwriting until only ash remained. They kept coming. Aunt Lisa showed up at my old apartment, my former neighbor said. She'd driven 3 hours to talk sense into me. Finding me gone, she left a note. "You can't run from family. Call me." I didn't. Then Emma tried, indirectly. She sent a mutual friend I hadn't spoken to in years to check on me. He showed up at my new job, claiming he was in the area. After 10 minutes of small talk, he got to it. "Emma's struggling," he said, leaning across the coffee shop table. "She knows she screwed up. She's in therapy, trying to figure herself out. She just needs to know you're not gone for good." I sipped my coffee, letting silence stretch. "She stole from me," I said. "Lied about me. Turned everyone against me. And now she's in therapy, so I'm supposed to what?" "Forget it." He shifted. "She's your sister." "She's not my sister," I said. "She's someone I used to know." He left. I blocked his number that night. 6 months later, I saw Mom at a hardware store, holding a can of eggshell white, looking thinner, grayer. I thought about slipping away, but I walked past her, close enough to be seen. "Hey," she said, voice small. I nodded, kept walking. "Wait," she called, setting the can down. "Can we talk?" "What's there to talk about?" She stepped closer, hands twisting. "I know I hurt you. We all did. I didn't see it then, but I do now. I'm sorry. We were wrong." I waited. Sorry wasn't a fix. "Emma's not doing well," she said, voice trembling. "She's living with us. Colin's gone. She's broken. Your dad's drinking more. The house is falling apart. I'm not asking for money. Just a chance to be a family again." I looked at her and saw the woman who'd smirked while Emma stole from me, who'd screamed I was off the family, who'd chosen control over love every time. "You don't get it," I said. "It's not about money. It's about respect. You never respected me. You used me. You're still trying to pull me into your mess." Her face crumpled. "That's not fair, isn't it?" I said. "You're here to fix your problems." "Again. I just want my son back," she whispered. "You never had me," I said. "You had a bank account." I walked away, not looking back. That night, I sat in my backyard, beer in hand, and deleted the evidence. Audio, screenshots, all of it. I didn't need it anymore. The next day, I started a bookshelf, simple but sturdy. Not to forget them, but to build something mine. They kept trying. Dad's Christmas card. "We miss you." Emma's text. "Sorry." Aunt Lisa's voicemail about healing. I ignored them. A year later, Colin emailed. I believed her lies. "You did the right thing." I saved it. I don't know where they are now. I don't check. I've got my house, my job, friends who don't ask for my bank password. They wanted a war. I fought by walking away, building something they can't touch. If they show up, my door's locked.